Great. Welcome to Digital Asset News. My name is Rob, and a lot of stuff to go over today. So what brought you here was, of course, the thumbnail and the title, which was 8K FUD of Bitcoin, what I said. And then we're also going to talk about micro DCAing. And that's a new strategy that I'm going to try out and see how it actually works. So this is going to be for alt. So I'll tell you exactly how it goes in a little bit. We're going to talk about specifically Guggenheim's chief investment officer, where he talks about Bitcoin to 8K, which is a far cry from his original crazy Bitcoin prediction of 600,000 by the end of year 2021. So take it with a grain of salt. Also, we're going to talk about DCAing alts, macro concerns, and take a look at some staking data. Then we'll get into how Bitcoin got rejected today and talk about the micro DCAing. And then the very last part, we'll go do a little Q&A, which is only for the live stream. So if you're here for the live stream, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Some of you just caught me, so thanks for coming in for the live stream. I do appreciate it, that's for sure. So what we'll do is we'll do a quick market recap. Just know timestamps are below. They don't come in immediately after we stop the live stream because we have to create them. So give it about 30 minutes or so. But we timestamps for you because time is valuable. Q&A at the end. Also for the live stream, we only do the Q&A with the live stream, and then we cut it and we do and upload the Q&A to a separate video. So let's jump in to what I'm actually talking about here, which is, of course, the market itself. And we all know it because we all look at our portfolio all the time. Let's just be honest. And we got rejected again. We're above 30K. People were expecting some big rally, I suppose. Sure. But every time it goes up, people are treating crypto market as their own personal piggy bank and taking profits. And that's okay, because that's the whole point, right? You are an investor, you make your profits, you take those gains. And some people say, no, you should diamond hands forever. And that's a personal decision. And I am not here to tell you what to do, obviously. I'm not a financial analyst or a financial advisor. I'm just telling you the things that I see and the things that I do. So we're down 2% for Bitcoin. Ethereum, not too bad, holding above 2,000. Binance Coin's up 3%. That's great. 3.5% up for Polkadot. Any big losers today? 4.2 for Tron. Great. Now, I laugh at that because I used to have Tron. I just don't hold anymore. So for all you Tron holders, fantastic. Good for you guys and gals for holding on to that. Ethereum Classic up 8%. Great. And so on down the road. So there's some pretty good gains to be had. Look at Aave. 11%. So again, the market's not that great. It's just a little bit harder to get those gains in this type of market. So that's what we have specifically for our market. Today was a kind of a strange day for, let's take a look. S&P 500, actually pretty rocky, but ends on a high note, which is kind of odd because we always talk about correlation and Bitcoin's down 2%. But the real question for me then is, there we go. NASDAQ composite. Let's see if it's up today. Now, so same thing. Actually, the NASDAQ followed Bitcoin, and NASDAQ look like it's doing the same stuff. So they rallied in the beginning and they're looking pretty good, and then just drops out the face of the earth. And that's where we have as far as like the traditional market. So these, to me personally, are correlated. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. I see correlation. You know what's not correlated? Artwork. So just so you know, Christie's, that major auction center, they just had a $1 billion sales week of fine art. Why is that specific? It's because super rich people don't care what's going on in the crypto market. They'll buy goofy stuff like an Andy Warhol, Marilyn Monroe for millions and millions of dollars. So just keep that in mind. And that's why I talk about this little company called Masterworks. I personally have a Banksy in a basket, not the whole thing. You buy into personalized shares of fine art, and they are registered with the SEC, so it's on the up and up, and it's an uncorrelated asset market. So just so you know, link in the description, looks just like this. So that's what is going on specifically in the market. Now, I just wanted to bring this up real quick and talk about valuation versus trend line. This is into the CRYPTOVERSE's website. Love it. I always talk about it. Link in the description, not an affiliate link. So just so you know, but there's a link in the description for Masterworks. That is an affiliate link. So if you can't stand it that I have affiliate links, that's okay. Just go right to masterworks.io. But if you'd like to use it, helps the show. Now, for Into the CRYPTOVERSE, that's not an affiliate link. I just like using it all the time. And this is what we got. And I like to see these. What this is the valuation of the crypto market versus what is actually would be the Bitcoin price, or how high above it as far as the fair value. And right now, if you look back, we've had a pretty hefty amount of time above what will be considered fair value for crypto. And this, of course, is data that is compiled by the website, but it looks pretty interesting. And we can see that in 2013, which was that nice big bull run, I mean, parabolic. We were seeing Bitcoin go from like, I don't know, 10, 12 bucks to over 100 or 1,000 or something like that. Then it kind of crashed back down, and it always went in cycles. We'll talk about it in a second. But 2014, you can see how it just fell below that market value. And then, of course, the great bull run of 2017, it was way above what would be considered fair value, almost 800%. And then, of course, we get down here to 2018 in November, and we were right where we were supposed to be. And now, of course, in 2021, when we hit 67,716, somewhere around there, $67,000 for Bitcoin and the entire market cap, the fair value was just a paltry 240%. So a lot better than here and a heck of a lot better than over here. But now we, of course, are below the fair market value of crypto per se. And there's a bunch of different reasons. And one of those reasons you're going to see these types of things is stuff like this. This is an article that I pulled, and I wanted to show it to you because you're going to see a lot more of this stuff. You're going to see a lot of people, and some rightfully so. Some might just say, well, it's Wyckoff, and it's an accumulation type of thing, and these people are just spreading FUD. Some people actually believe this, but I'm not too sure about Menard. So this was an article today. Bitcoin's price could fall to $8,000, 70%. Who said that? This guy. And he's calling for a 70% drop to Bitcoin. And this is his reasoning. He says, when you break below the $30,000 consistently, $8,000 is the ultimate bottom. So I think we have a lot more room to the downside, especially with the Fed being restrictive. Now, I'm not a big TA person, so TA people in the audience help me, but I think there's levels of support around 25, maybe 22. I know the 200-week moving average is somewhere around there. I would assume that is it. But what this gentleman here, Scott Menard, is saying is that it's not going to happen, and we're going to fall down to $8,000. The CIO, Chief Investment Officer, also said that most crypto is junk, but that Bitcoin, Ethereum will survive. And he says most of these currencies, they're not currencies, they're just total trash, essentially what he says. So here's the thing. You're going to see a lot of that, and that's okay. But remember, that's what's great about the internet, because you can look up all these great pieces, sources of information. This was on October 18th, not too long ago, 2021. And Scott Menard, Chief Investment Officer, Guggenheim, said he's no longer invested in Bitcoin after he predicted earlier this year that the crypto could hit 600,000. Then, of course, he went on and said it's going to be 12,000. And now, of course, he's saying to $8,000. And in some way, shape, or form, you got to think to yourself, is that really what he believes? Or is there something else behind the scenes? So just be aware. You're going to see a lot of these stories, and that is going to bring out the FUD. And that's the whole point of investing in this market. Everybody has the brain power, but the real question is, do you have the stomach for it? So that'll lead me to our next point. Before I get to that, let me know what you think. If we're going to hit $8,000 for Bitcoin, or if there's somewhere else you think it could go. That would be an interesting topic to go over. So now we'll talk about DCAing of alts. And this was a tweet I put out this morning. And man, did it get some traction. And I said, I'm getting restless. And it's true, I'm restless. I think I'm going to break down and start DCAing alts. Going to start light and layer in. I expect a 2 to 3 year game. So the thing is, when people hear you're going to start DCAing, all of a sudden, there's a lot of feedback, which is great. People seem to either really want to help me, or the trolls really want to destroy me. It's always one of those twos. So when I'm talking about DCAing, I'm not saying like, okay, I'm just going to stop buying Bitcoin, Ethereum. I'm just going to stop that because that was probably the best option in all honesty. But I'm going to stop all that, and I'm going to put it all into Tron, or I'm going to put it all into Energy Token, or I'm going to put it all into Dash or something like that. And that's not it. I think that's why I start everything on Twitter, to kind of get the ball rolling to see what the response is. And I read the feedbacks and see where we go from there. So I'm like, that's what I was thinking about doing. So we have that part. And then friend of the show, Ben, he is not a fan of alts. And he's made it very clear why he's not going to get into alts, because he's going to bleed between 50 and 75%. I think somewhere around 50%. He thinks it's going to go down again. And that is when you start to accumulate. And then I, as a joke, because it's all on a line, I said, hey, I sold my house and I'm going all in on Luna. I think it'll bounce back. Seriously, though, I'm going to talk about it today. And so when I said that, somebody retweeted that specific comment, and they knew what they were doing. They retweeted this specific comment without any context, and it puts it out there, and then people see that and like, what an idiot. And how dare you, and people are losing their lives, and da-da-da. I'm like, well, look, so you just can't win sometimes, and that's just how it goes. And I'll just tell you like this, and it's awful that people are committing suicide over this situation. And there's been multiple news reports about this. It's awful. It's an awful situation. And I think if you're retweeting this and you know I'm talking about here to here to here, then why are you doing it? You're doing it because you're a troll and you have no scruples. So to make this very simple, I'm going to delete this tweet because it's stupid and people will keep doing it because trolls are trolls and trolls are trolls. And from now on, I will just put it out there when I'm saying hashtag it's a joke or just kidding, because I'm not your dad. I'm not here to give you advice. I tell you that all the time. And on Twitter, it's very tough to do those things without being crystal clear about what you want. Sometimes you got to be a jerk and you got to be that guy. So I'll be that guy. If you ever do that again, out of context, I'll troll the hell out of you. And I'll just keep coming back at you, because it unnerves me so much when people do that. So to make this very, very simple, because there's an inability, I guess, to find sarcasm. I'll let you know when I'm sarcastic or when it's a joke. So that's what's going on in that little situation right there. So let's move on to a little bit better topic before my blood pressure goes to the roof, which is this. We talk about alts, and I explain why I might be doing a little bit DCAing into alts. The problem is that there's a macro situation, which I think we all know, which is the Fed. And the Fed dates are coming out every single month, just about. I usually had this, but anyhow. Next one we've got, this is 2021. Hold on, this isn't it. Let me get this up. Fed. Okay, sorry. So we got June 14th and 15th, July 26th, 27th, September 2021, November. Okay, so with this right here, just so you know that these are the next Fed dates. Expect a little volatility during this time. Some people say it's priced in. Some people say it's not. It is potentially priced in if they come out and say, yeah, it's 0.5 or it's half a basis point. Okay, so if it's that right there, then there shouldn't be too much fluctuation, even though I think there still will be. So the question is, if they come out and say, okay, we're going to go for a quarter point, what would that do to the market? But what if they come out and say, okay, we're going to go for a full point because we got to really get this inflation under control? And Jay Powell is a big fan of Volcker, who was the former Fed Reserve Chair in the late 70s and 80s when inflation rate was well over 10%. So we'll see what happens. So we don't really know. And we can take a look at all the TA and everything else, but I can guarantee you that if the Fed comes out and goes a full point, that's not priced in. Or the Fed comes out and says, we're just doing a quarter point, that's not priced in either. I'm fairly certain. And then also remember this. We've got the CPI, which is coming out, and that's every single month. So if those, and we see more inflation, and it's also the producer price index and that, we see more inflation, who knows where it could go? So we'd like to see TA to work, and we'd like to see the macro, and we try to do as best as we can, but we never really know. So what I take a look at is this. I like to invest in the people and invest into communities. And I can tell you right now, if you want to see pretty strong communities, just take a look at staking rewards. See how much of the actual crypto is being staked. So when you go to stakingrewards.com, you can filter it out any way you want to. And this one is filtered by staked value. So of course, Ethereum only has 10, can you see this? Hopefully you can see this, 10% total staked, 10%. And so that's got a 25 billion market cap or value. The next one is Solana, which is pretty impressive. Solana hasn't been around that long, 73.2%, 73, almost 3/4 of every Solana that's out there is being staked. You got Cardano, very nice, almost 72%. Then comes Avalanche, Polkadot, Binance Chain, which is 81%. Again, it's by the staked value, but that's still pretty big, 81%. I know some people say, well, it's centralized and da-da-da. Sure is. I mean, it's more centralized than a lot, but dang, does it work pretty well. And that's just how it is. Near Protocol, 44%, Tron 31%. And this was surprising to me. Well, not really surprising if you know the community. Algorand. That community loves algo, and 72% is total staked. When I look at this and take a look at the value that it is, $2 billion and 72%. Then of course, there's Cosmos at 61%. So if I take a look at what's happening here, if I was going to pick, I don't know, an alt that maybe would do pretty well in the future, I would start to look here and see which ones of these and how strong is the community and how is it going to dump on. Also, you'd also want to take a look at the tokenomics, how much of that is in control of specific wallets, whale wallets, and which ones aren't. And what is the percentage of that? You can start right here, but I'm not here to do all your research for you. So that's what we got. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Now let's talk about what I call micro DCA. And it starts with this. Yeah, that's awful. So every single day, it seems like, Bitcoin has been oscillating around 30K, 29, then 28, then 31, 30, 29, and it just keeps going up and down, up and down. And like we talked about in the beginning, it kind of seems like what's happening here is that when the Bitcoin price starts to go up, people start taking profits again. That's just how it is. So we're bouncing. There's levels of support, but I always feel like levels of support are kind of like ice. The more that you break on them and tap on them, the more chances they have to break down. And then when they break down, then there's another level, and another level, another level. So it would make sense that this is going to keep breaking down, right? Just like we thought that it would make sense for like these 4-year cycles that we used to talk about. Remember those 4-year cycles? Oh, those are good times, right? 4-year cycles. And if you know what I'm talking about, it starts in 2012 because that was the first Bitcoin halving. And then immediately after that, we had an all-time high in 2013. Oh, it did go to $1,100. Oh, okay. And then there was a dip. And then there was a big reset. And that was in 2015. Then, of course, we went to this one. 2016, halving, all-time high. Then there was a big dip in 2018. Remember these days? Oh, those are good. There was good days in 2017. And then there was a dip in the reset. And then we come down to this one. And I thought, honestly, it was invalid because in 2020, there was the halving. And we actually did pretty good numbers. We went above the previous all-time high, which was in 2017, 20,000. And then 2021, and I pulled this because I hadn't updated this. And I just realized that, not realized, but I realized I didn't update it. This is what we got right now. It's the same thing. So in 2020, there was a halving, right? It's every 4 years. In 2021, did we not get an all-time high? 67,000? I mean, it wasn't the beautiful all-time high that, we'd like to see, like where it goes up like 20x. But, hey, we'll take the 67,000. And then are we not seeing a dip? Some might call it a dip. Some might call it a pullback. Some might call it a crash. But it's the same thing. After we hit an all-time high, we go to these 2 points. And now here we are again. Maybe there's a reset down here. So then hopefully this is what we see in 2024. Again, these are just fractals, just looking from the past and moving forward. So maybe in 2024, when there's another halving, which that's when it's going to happen. And then 2025, hopefully an all-time high. And just to make this crystal clear, this is all these halvings in 2024, hopefully, in 2020 compared to 2021, and 2016 compared to 2017, and 2012 compared to 2013. It's like the same things going over and over again. So this is my thought. And I thought about this. And this is just, this little graph here is just me taking 2016, 17, 18, 19, just placing it over here. So if we see this again, potentially, it could go back down again, and we could fall even further in 2023. But it seems like the things that we want to happen, the things that we want desperately to happen, the market doesn't do what we want it to do. And everybody's been wrong. Almost everybody. I don't think anybody's out here being perfect. Definitely not Scott Menard. Definitely not me. I called for Bitcoin 150K. Remember that? Didn't happen. Remember Voyager call? $30. That didn't happen. Remember stock to flow? Is that still valid? I don't think so. There's been other things, other people, even Ben will admit, lengthening cycles. Is that a thing? He's even said it's invalid. That's why I love Ben. Smart guy. And he says, hey, it didn't work out. And then, of course, some people still think we're in a bull market, whatever. So what it comes down to me is this. All these things that we think are going to happen, and we think that the Fed's going to come out and say 0.5. And we think there's going to still be higher inflation. And we think that there's going to be a GDP slowdown, which means we're going to have a recession because that'd be 2 quarters in a row. And we think that these wars are going to go on forever. And we think that these supply chains are going to happen. Every single time we think that these things are going to happen, it doesn't happen. So I'm going to hedge my bet. It all comes out of this. I'm going to hedge my bet. I'm going to do what's called micro DCAing. So I am DCAing right now today, every single day, I buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's a sizable amount because I think it's going to do pretty well. Let's not fool ourselves. Bitcoin could go down to 22K. Okay, which means, what is that? 10%? 33, 6, 15, something around there. So even if you DCA today, you're still going to lose a little bit. Now, if you sell, that's when you lose a lot, right? If you sell or if you want to keep going. I just DCA, just keep going. So if I say Bitcoin, Ethereum, then I pick up another 2 alts below that, ones that I think are going to do pretty well. I'm not going to tell you exactly what those are because I'm sick and tired sometimes of the comments. I just get tired. So I'm just going to say, I am not here to do all the research for you. You do it yourself. But I'll probably pick up 2 alts. And if you know what I'm talking about, as far as like what we just talked about here, you probably can figure out what those are. Regardless, if I can just say, okay, maybe I'm going to buy this specific alt, right? I'm going to buy this specific alt and at whatever price it is, at let's say $50, okay? So let's say that instead of what I might usually spend, maybe $100 a day, maybe I'll microdose into that and do 20%, just $20. Because then as it goes down from 50, maybe it goes up a little bit. Maybe it goes down a little bit to 40. So I buy it at 40. And then maybe I don't do it every day. Maybe I do it every week, which is what I'm probably going to do, just every week. And then it goes down to 30. That's okay. That's okay. It's going to be all right because I bought it at 50. Then I bought it at 40. Then I bought it at 30. So if it goes down again, it goes down again, or maybe it goes back up. So my cost base is around $40. I'm not going to DC or value cost average and go, you know what? Tron just sold my house and my kidneys, going all in on Tron. That's not DCAing. That's the whole magic of DCA, is that it's not going to keep, you're not going to have this cost basis all the way up here if you just kind of play it around. And of course, it could play out just like everybody thinks it is, which is Bitcoin's going to keep going down. Maybe 22K, 25K. Maybe the market cap goes even further. Maybe another war breaks out. Maybe the supply chains. I have no idea. And guess what? Nobody else does either. So I'm just going to do what I think is right for myself and just go, you know what? I'm just going to put a little bit, maybe 20 or 25% of my usual cost basis or what I would actually put into crypto and go from there. And that's it. So if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, it's like my friend Mullet says. He says, it's funny how a short-term trade turns into a long-term hold when things don't go your way. So let's just say that it doesn't go my way. What then? well, bummer of a deal. I just got to wait a little bit longer. But I'm going to be here for the next 10, 15 years anyhow, so who cares? That's just what I'm saying. So that's micro DCAing. Instead of going 100% of what I would buy in, maybe $100, maybe I go $20. Maybe instead of every day, I go every week. The thing is the cost basis, and I go from there. I'm not going to start buying 5 or 6 different alts. That's kind of crazy. Maybe 1 or 2, and just go from there. Who knows? Maybe I might get lucky. And that's what's going on. And lastly, I will say this. This little picture here where I thought that it didn't really work. In 2021, when we hit in November, whenever Bitcoin hit 67,000, I think it was May actually. And we were all talking about, November's gonna be pretty good. I think it went back up to 60, 63, but it wasn't the all-time high. And we thought, okay, December's gonna be good. And it wasn't. And then we said, okay, January's gonna be good. And it was okay, but it wasn't like 69,000 okay. And it said, okay, it might be February. But then we knew it was a bear market at that point. You know, the only person I know of that stuck to the 4-year cycle and sold in, it was November. You know who that was? CryPTOVERSE. CryPTOVERSE did it. And I know he did it because he was talking about one of his videos a long time ago. I was like, I don't think that's going to work out. And he reminded me on Twitter. So check out CryPTOVERSE. Great guy. Real good kid. Got some great analysis, and that's it. And you can listen to him about the 4-year cycles. So good for you, Nobes. Fantastic. And that's it for today. So look, that's all I got. If you want to stick around for the Q&A, just know for the streaming, which I think is going to be fireworks today, stick around. Should be a fun time. And then just know that if you're watching the replay for like the next hour or so, Q&A might be here, but we split it and make it into a other video. That's it. So thanks so much for watching. Do appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next one. If you got to take off, adios. If not, let's do some questions. This ought to be